Hello and welcome back to, if I'm counting correctly, the 12th episode of the Three Hamster Boys podcast. I'm your host, Alexander. Joining me is my brother, Nick, and our father, Jeffrey J. or Jeff.
The old man.
He sat up very straight for that introduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
At attention.
Yes.
We have had a bit of a break. It's been a little bit of a while since we've been recording or been in the studio, really. Christmas and traveling. And because of that, I feel like we're all a little kind of like ducks out of water at this point.
We're rusty. How about that? But eventually we will be. I think we're going to have an episode where we talk about our trip to Germany.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were just talking about it.
Yeah.
We got to have an episode where we're drinking some Glühwein.
Yeah.
I'm there for it.
Yeah. Which our trip was great. We did drink a lot of Glühwein and a lot of other drinks as well.
A lot of
Great food, too.
Yeah, a lot of good
Great
food as well. But we'll save that for another episode. Today is a little bit of a different format. I think we're experimenting a little bit here. Instead of the 1-1-1 that we're used to, this is more of a grid in if you can think about it. But the concept for today's episode is a person you'd like to spend a meal with. What that meal is and where. And we're doing it in sort of a full course meal style, so it's going to be appetizer, main course, dessert, basically. Anyone want to add anything about?
Well, I think that it's going to be very personal. They could be alive or dead. You know, it really is.
any real person.
Any real person, yeah.
From history or down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's the limitations.
Yep.
Yeah, we're trying to go for a little bit more realism. Maybe we'll do a fantasy one later if we like this format.
Yeah.
But Nick, what are we drinking
Yeah,
today?
before we get into it, every good meal must have an accompanying drink. And today we're doing something more unique than what we have been. We have a cidery that we went to, which was very nice. We went there a while ago. It was cold. We ate outside. We were the only ones who
We're outside.
I guess we drank outside.
Yeah, we drank outside.
But we got like 2 flights.
Yeah.
And tried a huge variety. And we haven't tried these bottles specifically. We made sure that we didn't taste what we got.
Yeah.
But we will say the flavors are very subtle.
Yeah,
here.
it's very subtle. It's the other thing is that there were so many different apples that they were using, so it was pretty remarkable. And so we got 3 that we thought were very unique and do it. The one we really wanted to get was the pumpkin one.
They had a pumpkin one
The-
for the season.
But they were only doing glasses of that, so it was really disappointing.
I think that was more of like a mixed drink kind of special thing that they were doing. But yeah, this one is the Red Hill. I believe it's using wine sap and pippin apples. This one is going to be more of a traditional kind of cider for
Very
us.
classic.
Yeah, and a little bit lighter than I think our next one.
Which I think is perfect for an appetizer.
Yeah, so for us to start off, we wanted some, like as we always do, we try to start off with something that kind of gives us, this is the taste of whatever we're drinking.
Exactly.
Well,
All right,
let's begin.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Prost.
Prost.
I will say, it's still very vibrant.
Yep.
I think it's of the more potent taste. It's like right in your face.
And the other thing that we notice with all of these is that minerality of the water.
Yeah.
So you have the subtle apple taste, and then you have that kind of the taste of the water.
Yeah,
is
it's
prevalent.
Minerally is the correct term,
Yeah.
right? You have it sounds a little crude, but it does taste like a metal, you know. It tastes
well. Like a part of the sell here for this one is that it's Red Hill. This is a local kind of cidery. This area is known for its red clay.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's totally out of the ballpark to be like, oh yeah, it's kind of minerally.
It's kind of like the water from New York for bagels. You can taste that water in the bagels. And so you can taste this water in this as you would expect.
What I think is interesting, I think I was going into this expecting a little bit of a sweeter cider.
It's a little tart.
Yeah, and I was going to say it's a bit more tart than I was expecting. I like this. I think this is
It's a lovely start.
a good opener.
I mean, I would put it in the same range as like a table wine, where it's not there to overpower the meal; it's there to complement and add a flavor to it.
Yeah.
All right, Dad, why don't you kick us off? I think however presentation you want this to go, in my mind, I was mainly going to go person, meal, place, but however you determine is the best
I will
one.
definitely be messing that order.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going to tell you a background. So, watching TV in the 70s, there was I was always trying to find something that I could learn from. I was always looking for things to learn. And two shows that were really popular in the 70s that I used to watch, and they were actually 60s and 70s, was Wild Kingdom from Mutual of Omaha, Merlin Perkins, doing these wild animals. And then there was Jacques Cousteau, who was showing the ocean. He's the one who invented scuba. And so Jacques Cousteau is who I really want to talk to because as a person that was on submarines underneath the water, he brought the ocean. There's a possibility you could see a zebra at a zoo or whatever, but a lot of the times what he was showing under the ocean, you would never see anywhere.
The way you transition that, I thought you were going to say you could see a zebra underneath the water while scuba diving. But you're right. There's that zoo experience, which is kind of more commonplace, especially I think here in America.
Yeah.
But like scuba is something entirely different.
Yeah, and he was going to places. He was going to Antarctica. He was going to places around the world and diving there and showing that thing. So I would love to talk to Jacques Cousteau, but Jacques Cousteau. So in my mind, I think of places I've been in the world, and as soon as I thought of Jacques Cousteau, the next thing I thought of was the docks in Marseille, France. So this is I ate pizza there once and had this incredible pizza there. So as my appetizer, I was going to be in the docks of Marseille, looking out onto the Mediterranean, sitting there at a table at a cafe, and then having this cold seafood salad as an appetizer. And the good thing about it was when I was there, I had the salad. I had a seafood salad and a seafood pizza, and it was whatever the catch of the day was. So the idea of just sitting there on a warm summer day, looking out into the Mediterranean, talking to Jacques Cousteau about all of his adventures, eating this very fresh seafood salad, just seems incredible to me. Very relaxing. Probably a bottle of white wine next to us, and just enjoying it. And that whole scene is a great way to start off conversations with people that I really looked up to and would like to meet.
I will say we were talking about this over dinner when you were not here, and our mother called you out. She said that's exactly where you're gonna go for the first one.
It's true.
Well, it's the Mediterranean is such an incredible place.
Yeah.
And I just have such great memories, whether it's Saint-Tropez or Nice or Toulon or Cannes. They're all just beautiful places.
Yeah. It sounds really nice. I like the idea of like sitting and kind of just talking, letting the other person talk about their adventures.
Having like an aquatic sort of, meeting point.
Yeah. All right. I guess Nick,
Yes.
we'll send it over to you.
Alrighty. For my appetizer, we are traveling to the great city of New York. And we are finding any street or food truck that we could find late at night. Having some street tacos to begin the appetite. And I am going to be obviously eating with Epicurus, the Greek philosopher.
Wow.
I was about to say, who is Epicurus?
Epicurus, little rundown. He is a philosopher that is particularly known for his just absolute selfishness of a human's life should be always to seek out the next pleasure.
Wow.
So he has a very hedonistic point of view, but also he doesn't let society determine what makes him happy.
Right.
Street food makes me happy, so I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And he finds peace in just happiness, in this like overwhelming sense of like, you should do something for the sake of doing it and satisfaction of that. And I think he would be a great person to talk to, specifically in New York, I think.
Yeah.
You're gonna blow his mind.
Well, it would not only be like, look how far from where you have come we are, but also like you are almost surrounded by the very ends of what you agree with and what you hyper disagree with, right? Because New York is a city of business and commerce, right?
Yeah.
There are people that are spending their entire lives working
Yeah.
and really not
Enjoying.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
But then you also have people who are chasing their dreams in New York
That's true.
and really not caring about anything else. And I think just the dynamics with it, late at night, right? You'd probably catch the people on both ends of that sort of spectrum.
If you're there on New Year's Eve, you're going to be catching only people looking for pleasure.
I don't think I would want to go. I think it has to be like a random day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Where did you find this person? I feel like when I'm thinking about philosophers, I'm thinking about like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato. Never even heard of this guy, but even like Stoics.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that much, but I did want to talk to a philosopher of some kind.
Yeah.
And the thing with like all the renowned philosophers that you usually know, they usually are attached to more scientific or political theories and philosophies.
Yeah.
The ones who are just about lifestyle usually are only, their names are usually disappeared, and maybe their motto is sort of etched in history.
Yeah.
But the name of Epicurus is used today.
Yeah.
So that's
In what regard?
Epicurean.
Epicurean, yeah.
What are you saying to me right now?
I don't know the exact definition, but it is.
When you like look at if you're someone that goes after very good foods,
Oh.
or you're going for luxury searches,
So it's like an adjective to describe someone.
Yeah.
yeah, Epicurean. Yeah.
Oh, they're like.
They're in the.
I guess they are seeking that.
Yeah,
pleasure.
you're pursuing like a luxury.
Like Epicurious.com is like all recipes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I can't believe you knew that off the top of your head.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's not used in our generation as often.
Yeah,
I'm just
but-
saying. No, I just meant Epicurus.com. You're like, yeah, I've been there before.
I have been
recipes.
Yeah, look for recipes. Yeah, so
But yeah, no, I wasn't that familiar with him, but I had heard the word before, and I would love to talk to someone like that because I think they would be a interesting perspective, and I also just wanted to talk to a Greek philosopher.
Yeah.
plus I think that this is going to sound the luxuries that we have today would be unheard of in Greek times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And so what he thought of happiness and pleasure is not as complex as what pleasure and happiness is today.
It would be really interesting to go further beyond a meal and just like leave him there and like observe,
Or just go around with him and show him
see
stuff.
what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't mean just like see ya.
Well, I mean, it would be, I could have said like a traveling train,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but no, I think just getting into New York,
Yeah.
finding a random taco stand that anyone can have access to.
Well, I mean, I think it would probably work in any big city. Can you imagine being in Hong Kong
Hong Kong would be crazy.
or Singapore or
Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Tokyo would be crazy. I mean, even Chicago.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Chicago. Yeah.
I just chose a city that I felt like showed the the ends of each side.
Plus, it has great diversity. You see so many different cultures there.
And
Yeah.
I have New York stuck in my head right now.
Nice.
I'm playing.
All right, your turn.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I think I'll do like dad a little background here. I think in a serious note, look at myself and think, like I perhaps lack motivation or conviction at times, and I thought about people that would kind of embody more of that conviction, that motivation, and I think it would be interesting to talk to them. So my first person that I've wanted to talk to is Greta Thunberg. She's a 22-year-old political activist, super young, but has been like in media forever.
Seems like it.
Yeah, I know. Mainly for like talking about climate change and like waste and things like trash islands the size of France, in our oceans, and I kind of really respect that, and I kind of really respect what she's been doing for like her entire life. And it was crazy to look up and be like, oh my god, she was born in 2003. Like that's crazy to
She's
me.
younger than both of us.
Yeah. And like in a way, in I think a way that is easy to kind of fall down a rabbit hole of being like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? But in the spirit of not falling down those rabbit holes, I think it would be really interesting to have a conversation with her, to talk about her life, hear stories that maybe are not necessarily as public in the media. And I think a good way of doing that would be over a hummus platter with some tea.
Oh.
She's a vegan. I think that's probably not a surprise to anyone. But I was thinking, she's also Swedish. I'd love to go to Sweden. I'd love to find like a tea shop or a coffee shop, get like a hummus platter, get some tea after, walking around in the cold for a little bit, come in, sit down, enjoy some hot tea, enjoy some cut up veggies and hummus, and just kind of talk about her life, about her motivation, her desire to do things.
Or how she stays motivated.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Because it would be, whether you agree with her or disagree with you, there's always these ebbs and flows on whatever you do, especially
Absolutely.
if you're an activist.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be low times, there's got to be high times. There may be fatigue over the long haul because she's been doing this for literally years.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that understanding how she motivates herself and whatever would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think thinking about this now, when I put together my list of people, it wasn't necessarily as apparent to me, but now I see all three of them have sort of this connection in the fact that like motivation or like that intense desire to do something. Nick and I were talking about this the other day. There is a motivational speaker who's kind of memed on the internet, probably for good reason, but he has this quote that I think is people know him for. I think his name's Eric Thomas, where he says he's like telling a story about this young guy going to a guru, and the guru taking him out into the water and pushing his head down. And he says, when you want to succeed as badly as you want to breathe, that's when you'll succeed. Mm. And I look at myself and I just go, I do not have that dog in me. I don't want to succeed that badly. Like it is not there. I'd prefer to breathe.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and maybe it's like where I am in life, because I think my social connections are more important to me. Like staying close with my friends, making sure that I have these relationships that I've cultivated and that I continue to cultivate.
I was watching somebody, I can't remember who it was, but it was someone that was my generation.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, what is the expectation for this generation of you guys? And one of the things he said was, you're very different from your point of view of our generation on the most part.
Yeah.
But in general, the idea of having this connection, this idea of being more part of a societal organization, right, is really important, because you've just gone through COVID where you had really limited connection or a one-dimensional connection with people just through digital.
True.
And I think that this desire to have a work-life balance, to be able to say that I'm a positive input on the world and that I'm a positive input on the people around me, is just so much more important now for what we've done for the last 3 years.
That's fair. And not to get too deep here, but I think also kind of in addition to that, but after my best friend, after Richard passed, I think there was that moment where I was like, that could be anyone.
Yep.
Right? And like, grief and loss is something that people experience every day, but I guess like, you know, when I'm 24, I'm not really thinking about that.
It's something that, as someone that's 59, about to be 60, I see that.
Yeah.
But it's not something you see when you're 24.
Yeah. And
right?
like it for me, it's like, oh man, did I spend enough time with him? You know, did I spend enough time with my friends?
Yeah.
And like a part of that is like why I think right now in my life, like my social connections, my relationships are more important to me, and they're taking more of like a highlight.
So what I would say is hold on to that thought for my third person.
Yeah.
All right. So I think
We got a little.
we got deep.
But I think that's okay. I think.
Yeah.
From what I remember, I think our last episode was a little quirky. So I think that's okay.
Okay.
I think our ups and downs are good.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I think that's why we wanted to do this. It's just more of like a way to talk with each other.
Yeah.
Not saying we can't talk with each other, not in front of a microphone or a camera or with alcohol in front of us, but
Makes it easier.
yeah, different medium.
Yeah. All right.
All right, I guess we're on to the next drink. We'll see you after a short break.
We return.
We are back.
And a new cider.
With a new cider in front of us. The glass broke
As we were opening it.
as it was being opened.
I think that's a sign of good luck.
adds character.
Or glass shards.
Yeah, or glass shards. I mean, you know,
It adds something.
yeah, maybe it'll add a little bit of flavor too.
If I start crunching on something,
Yeah.
I'll know what I'm looking forward to.
All right, Nick, what are we drinking next?
So, from the same cidery, we have the Arkansas Black, which primary apple for it is the Granny Smith, and it advertises, promotes a very reputable apple, although I'm not really familiar with a lot of apple ones. Apple typings.
Well, Granny Smith is what
Yeah.
apples and brie and the green apple that's starting.
Yes.
You know,
apples
and brie.
But this promotes vanilla, I believe.
Yeah.
And a mineral strawberry or melon flavor.
Also, it said it had tannin and a dry. So it's like a dry red. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a little heavier, at least tannin-wise, than the last one. So something for us to keep in mind.
All right.
Yes. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Pink. Wow.
I like that.
This one is very good. I said that the one we had originally was a lot fuller than the ones we had. This one is even more so.
I was about to say, I think when we were tasting the flights, our expectation was that they are all going to be very kind of wisp on the wind, kind of. It felt like we were wine sommeliers, trying to taste the different notes. Yeah,
There's coconut with chocolate.
yeah. You're like,
I think I catch the flavor of this.
I think there's a hint of nutmeg. This, I think, is like you said, a much fuller taste.
You can definitely taste the tannin.
Yes.
And I think you can. It is a little bit drier because it's on the front of your tongue.
Yeah.
And I do like the apple taste.
The apple's good. And then I do taste some sort of like fruity.
Yeah.
It is. I can't place it. I think it is fair to just say strawberry or melon sort of essence.
Or mango.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Yeah. Something like watery, but also has that like sort of tinge of a fruit
Yeah,
taste.
like a little sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is great. I really like this one.
Big fan. Big fan.
Yep.
Big fan of this one.
So main dish.
Main dish. All right, Nick.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah. Okay. So my, I'll probably give a slight amount of backstory for this one, just in the terms of like this is someone that I admire from a professional sense. I grew up with a lot of classic movies, especially in the Disney category, and I would oftentimes enjoy a little Aladdin here. I would enjoy a little bit of Flubber here and there, and a huge variety of movies that became a sort of classic household name. And the common factor in a lot of those was Robin Williams, a masterclass actor who I've only just absorbed more and more as I have gotten older to understand the art that he cultivated in his professional
it was one of
line.
your favorite movies.
Yeah.
Dead Poet Society.
Oh no, Twist my arm. We gotta watch Dead Poet Society.
He is an incredible actor that I deeply, deeply look up to. He was also a comedian. I like his stuff. They're okay, but I think his acting really highlighted his range, and I think he is the essence that I admire the most of. If you can laugh with them, you can cry with them as well.
Yeah.
Because he can play such quirky characters that are so expressive and animated and so passionate about things. But then when you see him in roles that are quieter, more serious, toned down, or even restricted, it really sort of makes you feel uneasy, and it adds even more to the potency. Especially, Dead Poet Society, if we've already mentioned it. He is such a expressive, passionate, and powerful, humorous, witty character.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's at a loss for words. And I think that speaks volumes. But we're not talking about the character. We're talking about the actor. And even though he is no longer here, I would still love to have a conversation with him. I would love to pick his brain from a professional sense and from maybe like a more personal sense as well. And obviously we would do it. I would drive basically to the middle of nowhere, find a diner, and eat a burger with him.
That's awesome.
So the startup was I'd drive to the middle of nowhere was kind of scary for a second.
I think the best place to do it is where to do it. It's just find a diner. Find a diner.
Nobody else there, just you two.
Yeah. You got a waitress.
And the waitress is bringing you coffee.
Yeah, there you go. And
Well, you don't drink
you're just chowing down on a greasy burger. I think it's the ideal sense of like public intimacy that I think
It's such a weird phrase, but it's also like a perfect description.
yeah.
Like I get it.
Like it's like going to an empty cafe,
Yeah.
right? You're capturing this moment where it feels exclusive,
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's just like having a movie theater to yourself with like a friend or two.
Yeah. And I think, I just love to pick his brain. I think he obviously had a lot of demons, but he has cultivated such a character and a consistent masterclass of performance that I just can't help but respect.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I don't even know
Okay.
how a conversation like that would go, honestly.
Well, I think you just ask him any question and then let the conversation flow.
I think he's someone that would be able to smile and just go on a story. And I think that's what I would love.
Yeah.
You know, we're eating slightly, over fried fries, a greasy burger that is definitely not good for you, and then maybe a milkshake.
Skipping ahead a little bit. It's part of the main.
That's part of the
main dish. What am I gonna say? Water for everything.
All right, I guess I'll go next, and kind of in the spirit of not parasocial relationships, but kind of talking with someone who has a bit of a following here. Mine is similar and yet vastly different than yours. I think for my second person that I'd want to have a main course with is the internet sensation VTuber Iron Mouse.
Iron Mouse?
Yes. You are familiar with Iron Mouse.
Yes, I am familiar with Iron Mouse.
At home.
Yeah, because we watched Connor together.
Yeah, I was like, at home we watch a lot of like Japanese travel stuff, and sort of slice of life. I guess it's technically more travel content, but like people like Cdog VA, Chris Abroad, abroad in Japan, things like that. The Anime Man.
Yeah.
We, as a family, have seen some of those things. Obviously, love Connor's content. Connor does like videos and things with Iron Mouse, who is a Puerto Rican VTuber who is like immunocompromised and cannot like really go anywhere. She has a very serious condition. So in this regard, I'm taking a little fantasy, a little leap here, and saying that if I was going to go anywhere, I would go to Japan and have like real Wagyu beef with Iron Mouse. Health complications aside, right? That she's able to travel, that we're able to sit down and have a meal together. That's kind of where my mind would go. I just think that, again, a really interesting person to talk with. Not necessarily like I don't want to sit down and have like dinner with a anime girl. I want to have a conversation with like the real person that is Iron Mouse. Because I think it would be so interesting to hear this person.
Well, I mean, I think
speak.
Yeah, I think that when I look at her, she is dismissing her condition and doing what she's doing, right?
I think to the best of her ability.
Yeah.
Best of her ability, yeah. Which is always an admirable or heroic kind of effort.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I think she was originally like VTubing from the hospital.
Right.
Which is crazy. But also, did you know that she was going to school to be an opera singer?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she can sing.
She has put on variety of concerts, released music,
Wow.
As her persona at this point. Entirely talented. And we've talked about Iron Mouse because it is something to just like discuss, especially because we've consumed a lot of Connor content and by proxy just seen Iron Mouse as stated. But it's just, she is incredibly hardworking, at least from, obviously you can only assume so much from this sort of parasocial, like 2D, barrier.
Literally, yeah.
But, anytime she's not streaming, she's saying, hey, this has come up. Hey, I'm dealing with this, da-da-da. But otherwise, she's nonstop.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we talked about it here, but she did, for a brief period of time, become the most sub to person in the world on Twitch.
It's true.
Which I believe Kai Cenat broke that record.
Yeah.
But still, like, the most famous, most popular, probably one of the richest women in the Twitch space.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about. And she's talked a little bit about it, but like buying your parents a house is like like I can't even fathom that.
But once again, going back to what you're saying, what's the motivation? How does she?
Yeah.
The ups and downs and
exactly. Like, I mean, yeah. There are times where she's streaming and like she had like a ventilator, right? Like she's super loopy on meds or drugs. And
well, I know that the one time that I saw Connor, he was so embarrassed because he's like, "What's that noise in the background?" And she's like, "Oh, it's the ventilator in the back. It's a little bit loud. I'll try to turn it down." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah. But again, I think part of that motivation is like loneliness in a way of like not really being able to interact with people and like looking for a community.
Being in the hospital is horrible.
Yeah.
So. That's true.
He looked at you.
That's true.
Shots.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting too because we talk about Connor. Connor also has a chronic medical condition.
Oh my God, but he doesn't show it.
Yeah, he has hemophilia, which is something that we're very familiar with.
Yeah, I have hemophilia.
And I don't know. I think it's so interesting. Although we've talked about, he has to be a mild.
He has to be a mild. The stuff that he gets up to,
he does.
He either factors so regularly, which he does not. I think he's spoken about how he's like, I do it when I need it.
Yeah, he's also joked that sometimes it's not worth talking to the Japanese doctors about it.
Yeah, oh my God.
He is someone to look up to as someone with hemophilia because he is doing incredible work, but also he should not be a reference on how to handle your diagnoses.
I think a fan had to make and send him a medic alert bracelet.
Yeah, it's true. Because he did not wear one.
Because he just didn't wear one. It's like,
which
that's
is
crazy.
So unsafe. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, anyways, I think being in Japan, having real Wagyu beef, sitting down, having a conversation with the real person that is Iron Mouse in this sort of like fantasy scenario where she would be able to do that, I think would be really interesting. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I think it would be fun to talk to her and then be like, hey, cool, enjoy Japan, see you later.
Yeah. It's true.
All right, Dad, finish us off.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the backstory. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I heard the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King. And so initially I was thinking Martin Luther King, but then I thought my journey, so I've always taken to heart what he said, and I've always felt like that was my motivation to keep me to keep me going and doing things. But once even at that very young age of 6 or 7, I immediately transferred over to looking at Gandhi. And when I started looking at what Gandhi was doing, and they both were totally captivating and totally motivating a huge amount of people and really wanted equality for it, I am leaning toward Gandhi as who I want to talk to.
Okay.
And the main reason is because if I was talking to Martin Luther King, I would probably be in Mississippi or Atlanta, which is much more known to me than if I was in India. And so I decided to say Gandhi because it would be a very different and it would be a different spiritual feeling that I would have with him. Because he was a very spiritual person. His religion, his belief system is what moved him to where he was. He was a lawyer, educated in England, and came back and did this. So we would be in, ready? Porbandar.
Where is that? What is
North,
that?
south, east, or west?
It is the southwest side of India.
Okay.
And it is the birthplace of Gandhi.
Oh, you're going all the way back.
You're going to the home team.
I'm going to the home field. And the other thing is that this place is known for having a lot of spiritual locations around there.
Okay.
So it's a really holy place for India. So I thought, what a beautiful place. Once again, there's going to be water there. Being on the beach,
Okay.
spiritual places
okay.
around us, having this full vegetarian layout of all of the local Indian food, and then talking to Gandhi about his journey, about what he faced and how he got through it, and having at that time 800 million people on his shoulders.
It's true.
You know, I think that we fail to recognize how large India is and how much of a burden that is from that culture and how many people it is. And so I think that he was able to keep going when nothing else was working, and got them freedom and their own government and whatever. So I would love to just have, because he was never overly outspoken. He was never overly wasn't showy or anything like that. He just kept a steady thing. He went to jail. He did hunger strikes. He was just, through peaceful activists, he was able to free a whole nation. And I just think that understanding that journey, understanding what drove him for literally decades to do that,
Yeah.
is something that would be inspiring to me. It does inspire me. It makes me always think about, am I doing, like you said, what is my contribution? What am I doing? How am I doing that? Plus, it would be a fantastic background or area, and it would be incredible food.
Yeah.
So,
It's true.
So I just thought it would be kind of the great combination there.
I think Gandhi would be interesting as someone, like another person. I totally forgot your original person, your first guy.
Epicurus.
Epicurus. Kind of similar to Epicurus in that I would be really interested to see Gandhi's thoughts and opinions about the today, like the day and age that we're living in now.
I will give you a little thought about this.
Okay.
So he did not believe that Pakistan and India should be separated. He thought that they should be one country.
Okay.
And that separation occurred when they created the government. So basically Pakistan was a part of India, but they broke apart.
Right.
And he was more of an anarchist than he was for... He thought people should live spiritually and in step with nature and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he was never into the political side of it.
Right.
And so he was, at the end of it, he was very disappointed that Pakistan split off. But it was because there was two different belief systems and they just could not come together. So that's how it's kind of like West Virginia and Virginia during the Civil War.
Right.
Okay, so it was like this break off of it. A little bit different, but
Yeah, I was about to say probably a little different.
but it was that kind of, we can't be with you, and that always broke his heart because he felt like his people should be together and there should be peace and love for each other.
That's fair. I guess it would be interesting to talk to him about that, because there is like a Pakistani like nationalism and like pride for being Pakistani. So it would be interesting to hear his opinion and talk to him about that. But yeah, I just think like the overall like general state of the world and
Just like vibe check him.
Yeah, vibe check him, exactly. Like,
well, not only that, but
Here's what's going on. How do you feel?
The rest of the rest of India stayed together was also in question.
Yeah,
because there's so many different cultures and pockets and
Sure.
very distinct parts of it.
yeah. I mean, when you have that many people,
Yeah.
it is. You're obviously going to have like different areas or different like sections.
There's boroughs in New York.
Yeah,
That should speak for
Yeah,
itself.
Yeah,
You know, if you increase it by,
By 10.
by a lot.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, nice. I really liked this one. This is
I'm a big fan of this one.
I'm excited about the third one.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
third one should be interesting. So we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have our third and final drink. Don't go anywhere.
And dessert.
We are back for our third and final drink. We have done appetizers or like openers, hors d'oeuvres. We've done the main course, and now we are on to dessert and our third and final person. But before that, Nick, what are we drinking?
We have a cider-like champagne.
Champagne-like cider.
Champagne-like cider. One way or the other. Super bubbly. This is the Brut de Albemarle.
I don't know if it's coming up on the camera, but they are just bubbling.
Well, when you taste champagne, the one thing you want it to do is continually bubble.
Yeah,
That's doing it.
they've done
and,
it.
And it's totally effervescence.
I have a lava lamp here in front of me.
But yeah, it should be a light, but it is the driest thing we've had. And I'm very much looking forward to it. It should be a good celebratory end to our drinking.
Yep.
And something to look forward to.
Yeah, not much else really known about this, so kind of going in a little blind.
We will let you know.
Okay, yes, very dry.
So I'm a big champagne drinker. I love really dry white wines.
Yeah.
And
Well,
this
I feel like this is hitting
this
the nose.
this is really hitting. It's the minerality is not so it's present, but it's not so lasting.
Yeah.
The bubbles kind of clear out the minerality of the water.
Yeah.
I like it. It probably has the least depth of flavor.
It is a little one note,
Yeah.
but it is lovely.
But I mean, I think it does exactly what it sets out to do, which is this feels like a champagne, but in cider form, which
Yeah.
is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think if you're not a champagne person, this is kind of a good substitute.
It is sweeter than most champagnes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do. That's why I do like it. So
Yeah. Right. I will kick us off.
Let's see
here.
what dessert you got.
All right. Following the trend of successful people or young people kind of dominating in their fields and me being like, wow, how do you do it? Obviously, Greta, 22 years old, Iron Mouse, I think 28. We're going a little up there in age. Not too much. I don't want to date this person too much.
We're not going all the way up.
Is standing at 37 years
Oh, wow.
old.
You checked all their ages.
We have, I'll just go ahead and say it, Alex Golden Boy Mendez. Yes. Golden Boy is how I'll refer to him for the rest of this episode, is a esports video game commentator host. If you've seen anything that has to do with video games, you have more than likely seen Golden Boy. He is quite literally like the golden boy for video games. He started out in Halo and kind of has moved to every other game since
If
then.
there's any a popular game getting launched, he's probably going to be around.
Yeah, I mean, like back in our day, like Smite, he was there. Nowadays, it's more of like, less nowadays, but like before it was Overwatch. Nowadays, it's more like Valorant, the Game Awards. Like he's just kind of been there, done it all kind of situation. And as someone who loves casting and would like to cast professionally, maybe, who knows? I think he is kind of like a great example of someone who is just like, I think fits into my style of like, give me anything, I'll do it kind of situation, where there are some people who do one thing and they do that really well. Captain Flowers comes to mind here. a League of Legends commentator.
It's true.
Through and through.
Yeah.
And he is just so good. He is like the face of League of Legends commentary in a way.
It's true.
Golden Boy is the opposite of that, more of the jack of all trades.
The generalist.
Yeah, the generalist. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a master of none, because I like Halo is where he started, and I think he finds the most comfort there. But for me, that's kind of where I fit, where there's never been really a game that I totally want to fit into or settle down into. I'm willing to cast anything and everything, and I'm willing to learn anything and everything.
Plus, you've met him.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yes. We have the rarity.
Yeah. I have already met this person, actually, when I was down in Orlando, and I was working the Halo Championship Series. Kind of just like with my school, we went down there. I was working both like guest check-in and player check-in, and then they also moved us around a little bit, which was nice. So we got to see different like areas that they wanted work for. I was working in the shop, and he came in looking for a shirt or something. I don't know. And we had like a conversation, and I worked up to the nerve to be like, I love your work. Didn't just be like, I love you. But I love your work, and I'm casting. I'd like to like hear your thoughts, or like anything that you would, any sort of advice that you could give me. And we had like a short conversation before he ran off to the green room. And this is pretty cool.
You were fanboy.
Yeah, a little bit, for sure. And I have a signed Halo poster that my boss was like, here, have a poster, get him to sign it, which is great. I loved my boss that allowed that to happen. But yeah, I think it would be nice to actually like have a full sit down conversation with him and talk about casting, but also just like video games in general.
So what are you eating?
Yeah, so dessert. I think besides the state of things right now, I think it would be California. We're getting milkshakes in like kind of like a ice cream bar kind of situation. You know, I'm thinking closer to like the diner kind of setting. Like the red seats.
Very classic.
Yeah, very classic. Just kind of sitting.
Like greasy spoon kind of feel.
People watching while also just kind of talking about video games.
So you're on some pier, like in Santa Monica or whatever.
That would be fun too, yeah. Honestly.
In a diner right there.
Yeah, a walk. Yeah, I would definitely be down to like take it to walk a little bit too, to go to the pier. That would be great. But yeah, I think that would be really interesting. And again, one of those weird, rare ones where I've actually met this person before, and at least from our short interaction, he wasn't a terrible person, and also was, because I was like, oh hey, I've worked with some people, and like they weren't great. Like I didn't really enjoy them. They were not very nice people. And he was like, don't worry about that. Those people don't make it. Like they're not really welcome, and like they don't make friends, and they won't last. Which is kind of nice. I felt better.
It's a little comforting.
Yeah, a little comforting at the end of the day.
Well, it's like you've always said, is that no matter who you meet in your industry, you never know around the corner what that person will be doing.
Yeah. I mean, when I was taught, they said, be nice to the director and the person laying down tape. Because everyone is connected, everyone's in the industry. That person who's laying down tape could be planning the next, biggest movie.
Yeah.
They could, there's always these like cautionary tales about auditions, where if you're walking into an audition and you're a jerk to the clerk, that gets to the audition directors and you're already like not hired.
Yeah.
Before you even say a word.
I would say, hopefully, I brought you up better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we brought you up. You should respect and be respectful for everybody you meet.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't brought up that way, and so I think that it's a good tale no matter what it is.
It's true.
So
I think some people just kind of. I think in whether it's esports commentating, whether it's sports commentating, whether it's acting, there is I'll say it, there's a bit of vanity.
There's an ego
involved.
aspect.
Yeah, there's
of it.
a bit of ego
Yep.
involved, and I think it's easy to let that run away with you when you're like, I'm in front of the camera all the time. I need to be perfect. People love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore I should be treated better than other people. I think it's just making sure that doesn't run away. Like you don't get too big of a head.
Don't
Yeah.
believe the hype.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also
exactly.
like I don't know, still be nice to people even
Yeah.
if you I don't know.
Also, like, you're just the person in front of the camera.
Yeah,
I feel like you got to
exactly.
keep the mentality. Like, yeah, you might be a face of something,
Yeah.
but like there are people doing,
There's 15 people back there like
running the show,
Yeah.
like doing so much hard work for you to have an easy time. To be honest,
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, like for esports, you're like, yeah, you're the face right now, but like there's other people who are probably more knowledgeable. There's other people who are running the observation. They're making the plays that you're commenting over. There is like the director, the people running the stream in its entirety, and like those people are great at what they do too.
Yeah.
You got to give them credit. They're not below you or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah, you just have to acknowledge everyone is doing their job.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
whatever's happening.
All right, Dan. I talked for a little bit, but I'll pass it over to you to.
So my third person, I also know.
I feel left out. I haven't met my first.
So my third person is my dad, and
Golden Boy is not my father.
I hope not.
My third person is also not my father.
And so my dad, he passed away very young. He was a heavy smoker, died of lung cancer at a very early age. He was, I was 28 at the time. And so when he passed away, he was living with my brother, so my brother had to deal with it right there. But the one thing that I always remember about my dad is that whenever we would have a family get together, my family loves making cake. And so we always had this quarter sheet 9x13 cake. And most people, if it's a classic rectangular cake that you get at the shop or at a store or whatever. And how my mother would cut it for him was she would go across the short end and move the knife over. And when my dad said stop, she would cut all the way across the short end of the thing and give him that piece. So he could maybe get a quarter of the quarter sheet cake, depending on how hungry he was. Now, usually when he was eating dessert, he'd already eaten 10 hot dogs. And my dad was a very small guy. He was 5'11", 170, 180 pounds. But he could pack away food. And so what I would have for dessert is I would have my wife bake a cake. We would be at my wife's bakery, Crease of Cakes, and,
Small plug.
because my dad always wanted to own a business.
Yeah.
And so him being there with us and having you guys there too, because you never met him, because he passed away before you were born, that just talking to him, laughing with him, we always had a great time. I would probably invite my brothers down too.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, you gotta.
just so all of us are there. Just, I think, you say there's ego with it.
Yeah.
I would want him to be proud of what we all have done.
Yeah.
He was at our wedding, and he was line dancing with all the women out there. He enjoyed a nice drink. He always drank beer, though. But he never drank hard liquor, but he always drank a beer. And he just always had a good time and was always full of life. And so I just think that it would be just so much fun to have him around the table with all of us, just talking and having it up, and him seeing what I had become.
Yeah.
Because you talk about loss. We talked about that with your first person.
Yep.
That loss is something that's hard to understand. The hard part for me is that, 6 years later, my mother passed away also. And so I did not get out of the 90s with either parent.
Yeah.
And so I miss my parents, but I really miss my dad. He was in the Navy also like me. He was a inspiration for me to join the Navy.
I was like more like you like him, rather.
Yeah. And so I would love for him just to be with us and just to hang out.
Yeah.
Because he never cared about what people did or looked like or how they acted. He just wanted to sit around and have a good time with people. So that's my third person.
Ooh. Yeah, Nick, how are you going to top that one?
I can't really. I'm gonna be honest. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to say Creasette Cakes, though, actually.
Yeah.
I think he owned a Tasty Cake route because he always wanted to do his own business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he never got the support that he wanted from my mom.
Yeah.
They disagreed on it. My grandparents on my mom's side owned businesses all the time, and so she saw kind of the hardship that's involved with running a business.
I mean, I feel like in a way I kind of see that too.
We see it too.
So yeah, I mean, you guys are seeing it also. So they were at odds when he did that, but if he could see us doing this, and he would be the guy that would be, oh, I'll come in and just wash dishes for you. Just let me wash dishes for you.
Yeah.
You know, because he would just want to be there.
Yeah.
And so I just think it would be just so cool for him to see that.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, your turn, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. My third person is someone closer to sort of springboarding off of the Robin Williams pick and someone that I professionally admire to like a very great degree.
Yeah.
Her name is Colleen Clickenbeard. She's a voice actress.
Oh, okay.
A very famous voice actress. Even if the name doesn't like bring any sparks, like you probably have heard her voice before.
Her range and her character work is incredible. She is Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece.
Oh,
she is the
wow.
dub voice actress. I think a lot of people would know most of her characters that she has done within the anime and sort of that space. But she is also a huge game voice actress.
Yeah.
She's been in the Borderlands series. And just a huge variety. And you'll just be like playing a game and you'll just hear her voice and you're like, that's Colleen Clickenbeard.
It's kind of like the Matthew Mercer effect as well.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly.
It's true.
This is Matthew Mercer.
There's a plethora of voice actors where you're just like, oh, Troy Baker. What do you,
Tara Strong. What the heck?
Yeah, you hear them and they are sort of synonymous in this voice acting space, especially the ones that I deeply enjoy and consume fairly regularly. And yeah, so I would love to talk to Colleen.
Is she in those D&D series that we?
She is not in Critical Role.
Okay.
But that's a good question because those are all voice actors.
Yeah, they
as
do.
well.
They do a lot. But she has just done so much. She's like a voice actress I grew up with, basically.
Yeah.
Like basically most of my favorite anime, she's probably done the dub for, or like at least ones that I like absorbed early on. And I think I'd want a really chill atmosphere that I could just pick her brain for basically as long as I can.
Until she says, all right, call it quits.
Yeah, so I will be in Iceland in a observation building looking at the northern lights, and we're eating ice cream out of a mug with hot chocolate.
I mean, you got me. I'm there. That sounds great.
And maybe a shot of liqueur in the ice cream as well, you know?
We had that at the Christmas markets.
I was about to say, I didn't even think about that for hot chocolate until we were going to the Christmas markets, and they were like, schnapps? And you're like, all right.
I see. All right. Yeah. But no, there's a lot of voice actors that I look up to, especially because like it's in the space that I really want to really dive in and pursue. But she's just been a constant, and for the most part, she doesn't give off like unsavory sort of vibes. That's what I'm always afraid of. Like, we talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't know who exactly we wanted. The person was the hardest part for most
really
of these.
difficult.
Because it's always like you have in the back of your mind, don't meet your heroes.
Right.
Right? Because you don't know how they're going to interact on like a personal level.
And I think especially for us in particular, when we're thinking about people in our fields or like in fields that we want to get into, a lot of them are very public facing, which it creates this like, this is my public face and then this is what I am behind curtain or closed doors.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's difficult for many people to differentiate that, or for us to even know how big of a difference is that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for my people, I know that they're not perfect. I know that they have warts and whatever, because their goal was what was important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I knew that they were imperfect humans when they did it.
Sure.
Gandhi had probably bad side of it. Martin Luther King probably had bad side of it. But those people are real people. You know, they're not celebrities per se.
In a way, though, I would argue that they're also celebrities.
Right. I mean, I
Yes.
think there is a part of it that they have to be able to take on that celebrity in order to.
They
be
have
what
to maintain some level of an appearance.
Right.
And I'm sure as long as you're talking with them, there's going to be something that you will like disagree with. Like
Right.
maybe there's something that you and Gandhi you agree with Gandhi and his like resistance against British imperialism, but maybe like climate change, you and Gandhi just have like different opinions.
Or anarchy, right?
Yeah,
the idea,
yeah, or like-
the idea of anarchy, right?
Yeah, or a political structure. Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
you could be that. I think even in this regard, though, like, especially with actors, right, you have so many stories about, like, Tom Cruise not being super great or,
Yeah.
like, pleasant to be around.
Or generous to those around them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes back to, why you chose Golden Boy.
Yeah.
Where it's like they are a persona in the field that you like, but you've had at least like the...
Yeah, at least I've had a positive interaction
like
in, like, the 10 minutes that we had together.
a hint of a moment.
Yeah.
But no, I'd like to think that Colleen Clickenbeard would be a very good mentor at the very bare minimum to at least be able to talk with. She's been in the sort of space for quite a while, and
Quite a while, yeah.
and she's been basically just killing it over and over again.
Which
Yeah.
is longevity is always a hard thing to achieve.
I would say both easy and hard. I think when Nick and I talk about this, breaking in always
so
seems to be
difficult.
very difficult, but once you're in, you're like a household name.
If you have established a strong network, you can find a job.
Yeah,
I'd like to.
They just keep calling you back.
Yeah.
Or like if you're in series, like if you're in a long-standing anime like One Piece,
One Piece,
you always have a job. Or
Or at least 1,100 jobs.
yeah, or if you're a main voice in like
The Simpsons.
in
Yeah.
The Simpsons, or even like in the Borderlands series, if you become a mainstay in the Borderlands series, or at least are like a reference, there are tons of voices there, even if you're not one of the main ones.
Yeah.
Which she is one of the main ones.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
she just has work as long as they're making Borderlands games.
And they will forever make Borderlands.
Well, I don't know about that one. You
They
know,
keep making Call of Duty.
that's true.
Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, that's my dessert.
So hopefully this was a unique take on it.
I think this was a different episode for sure. It also went way different than I was expecting.
Yeah. I think it was the most difficult to plan for me.
Yes.
All the other ones were like, yeah, I could go with that. But this one I really had to like sit down and like figure out each moment.
Well, it's because we wanted complexity with it. We didn't want just okay, these are 3 people I want to talk to. Let's come up with the environment and everything with it.
Yeah.
To make it more I think more interesting.
Building a scene
Yeah.
with this person.
Exactly.
Before we go, though, of course, I've got to ask, what was your favorite drink of the night? I'll start with Dad, then I'll go with Nick, and then I'll give my opinion. So, Dad, what was your favorite?
I thought the Arkansas Black was really good.
Yeah.
However, I am a champagne guy.
Yeah.
And I loved the champagne cider.
I had a feeling you might say that.
I finished it. It was good. It was crisp. It was clean. I really liked it a lot.
I agree. It was delicious.
Well, I will not shy away from the Arkansas Black in saying that one was definitely my favorite. It was the fullest of the ciders that we had all together. It was so good. Such a refreshing taste on top of it, and still had the minerality, but also wasn't overbearing in any sense.
I feel like a lot of times we each choose one, but I really did like the Arkansas Black. I thought that was good. It was... I think I've had a good bit of ciders in my day. I don't know where the accent came from, but I've had a good bit of ciders in my day, and I think the Arkansas Black just had such a full flavor. It was just enjoyable.
I think a lot of the very popular ciders have kind of a fake taste to it.
Yeah.
There is a sense of artificial layering on top of it.
Or over concentration, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And
or it's just one note.
Yeah, or just
one note.
But these, look how they're serving it. Look how they're presenting it.
Yeah.
They want it to be different than the can of whatever.
Absolutely.
I'm also really glad that we chose these three in particular. I think our flight was good, but to be honest,
I don't think it compares to these three.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think maybe there was one or two from the flight that we really liked. Not to say that they were bad, but I think these ones in particular really stood out.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the Brute one, I was like, oh, we got to do that.
Yeah. That's the one you said.
So, all right.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you next episode.
If you like us or you subscribe,
He's doing it.
awesome.
If you like
us
or subscribe.
Or do both.
Or do both.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, we will catch y'all next time, and see you soon.
Good luck. Bye.
Good luck.